Our last request from this cycle comes from Benimation. He's asked me to cover a South Korean animated movie called Yobi, the Five-Tailed Fox. Similar to his last request, this is also based on folklore. This time we're spotlighting the kumiho, who are shape-shifting foxes that can turn into beautiful women or other creatures. This is how they lure unsuspecting men and eat their hearts and liver, depending on the legend, of course. They appear in other media, but Yobi is brought to us by writer and director Lee Sung-gang. He previously directed My Beautiful Girl Mari, and this 2007 movie is produced by Sunwoo Entertainment. As far as I know, there's no official English release that I can find. I'm looking at a YouTube rip that provides English subtitles, so that's probably the only way anyone can view the film right now. With that in mind, let's check out this movie and see what Yobi's all about. It opens with some narration about the kumiho and how they're feared by humans. In this story, they're hunted down to the point where they're forced into the mountains. Sounds normal so far, but then one day, aliens crashed into the mountain that a young kumiho was in? Not what I expected. As the title card reveals itself, we get more exposition about how time passes by and civilization has arisen, with no kumiho sightings in ages. After the time skip, we see some kids go up the mountain. Maybe they're curious or looking for something, but regardless, they get pursued by some scarecrows. Man, I really hate to imagine what would happen if these things were more vicious than what they actually are. One of the kids, Wami, apologies for any name botchering in this, manages to find a red flag. I'm not sure why he's here to begin with, but he then loses an item from that little white fox we saw earlier. Turns out he's attending a fall camp for the maladjusted children. My guess is that this is for possibly neurodivergent kids who became too unruly for their parents. The supervisor is this man named Kang Hang-moo. He tries to get the kids to fall in line and, well...
이걸 들고 어떻게 체조를 해? 일이 돼? 맨날 이런 거 껴안고 있으니까 아무것도 못하잖아. 이건 내가 당분간 보관하겠다. 알겠지? 다 네가 강해지길 바라는 마음에서 그러는 거야.
According to Wikipedia, the main writer of this movie is Lee Chang-dong. His name doesn't appear on Yobi's IMDb page, but if his past works are any indication, this is probably another one of those South Korean society sucks kind of films. Of course, that is assuming that he's the actual writer to begin with. Either way, another kid in the camp is this girl, Ju-hee. She pretends to be sick, honestly I don't blame her, and she gets spotted by that white fox. Not sure why that's scary. For all you know, it's just a fox. The fox then giggles and leaves, and after returning to the forest, she transforms into a little girl. She seems to live with the scarecrows, who are actually the aliens we saw from the beginning. They're also a family of sorts who are trying to find a way back home, but are stuck eating things like...
어쩌다가 쇠를 먹게 됐는지.
인간들 중에서도 쇠를 먹는 사람이 있대.
모기 밥으로 먹는 사람도 있다던데?
Don't ever give them real food, or they'll explode from how good it tastes. We also learn that the fox girl is the titular Yobi. She only has 5 tails, which means that she's a very young kumiho who's going through her own version of puberty. We also get to know the names of the aliens: Captain, Naughty, Jumbo, Chubby, Harry, and Tiny. Go figure. Anyway, after Yobi converses with some air spirit, forest spirit, I guess she either can talk to the dead or bring things to life, but whatever, they discuss that one girl who looked in the mirror because...
인간들은 세월이 지나면서 점점 기억을 잃어버려. 그래서 거울을 많이 받으려고 하는 거야.
그래? 정말 바보네. 그렇게 머리가 나빠?
그게 사는 방법이야. 까먹는 게 행복할 때도 많거든.
Yobi is also curious about the alien homeworld and what it's like. Captain and company tell her about it.
살아있는 생물이야.
그럼 이런 땅도?
말도 하고 밤이 되면 노래를 부르기도 하는걸.
Well, sounds like it's a very nice place to be in. Of course, they can't get back there until their ship is repaired, and they're trying to fix the thing with stuff found on Earth, which doesn't help. I know what this is. And while it looks good so far, they suffer a mishap and are back to square one. Naughty is given the brunt of the blame, and the other aliens tell him to leave, which he does, much to their regret. Later, Yobi stumbles upon a spring that leads to a place called Kanava, the land where souls go to rest. She only gets a peek by almost falling into the water, and Kanava only opens again under a full moon. The souls are to stay there until they are reincarnated.
저고는 얼마 전에 새끼를 잃었어. 아이의 영혼을 후수로 올 걸 기다린다.
불쌍하게.
Damn. That's sad. It's here where we learn that Yobi can become human if she steals a human soul at the right time. That detail is a twist on how Kimiho are understood in lore, since their usual path to humanity requires them to abstain from feasting on humans for 1,000 days. It'll be important to note later. The next day, Yobi and the aliens look around for Naughty. The aliens already regret being this harsh towards one of their own, but they also want to keep him away from humans and the outside world. Well, that was quick! Though considering the location of the school, it wouldn't have taken him that long to get here. Naughty is then studied by the kids. He does some intelligence test, and I guess the teacher was already aware of this and joins in on the exercise. Needless to say, he's pretty incompetent. So the humans decide to give Naughty to this one girl who holds him like a teddy bear. Yobi and crew see all of this and they try to get Naughty out. Of course, earlier they got spooked by a rat, shot it with a cherry, but they didn't like that, so... Well, damn, guess you failed. Or not, because Yobi turns into that one girl from before and sneaks off. But then she runs into Gwami, who thinks that she's one of his classmates. He was on his way to get the teddy bear from the teacher's office, so he gives it to her, but after they go outside, we learn that he dreams of becoming a comedian.
옛날에 어떤 마을에 무시무시한 괴물이 지나가는 사람들을 붙잡아 놓고 무짐작에 어려운 퀴즈를 맞추라고 했지. 괴물 이름은 바로 스핑크스지. 스핑크.
Good thing he doesn't notice. Yobi later gets away from Gwami, but she does leave behind the dream catcher he was looking for in the mountains. She leaves the teddy bear with that one bear, which is fine, but then... And here I thought we were done with Zhang Zia. No, this is just some fox hunter who's looking for her kind. Even in the modern era, where the Kumiho have faded into legend, there are still some true believers. For now, our heroes are focused on rescuing Naughty. Yobi plans to return to the school in disguise, first by turning into an adult woman who's trying to enroll her daughter into the school. She then switches between adult and child form to sell the illusion.
괜찮으세요?
Now she's in the thick of things. The kids don't welcome her with open arms, and it results in this kind of banter.
말라빠져서 싸움은 못할 것 같고 공부는 당연히 못할 거고 어쨌든 왕따였겠지. 왕따? 그래 왕따. 그게 뭔데? 야야 이 왕따가 뭔지도 모른대.
너 왕따도 모르니까 얘기 들어온 거지?
그만들래. 왕따가 왕따를 놀려?
You're the class E of this city. You need a real Koro Sensei figure instead of the guy you have right now. Yobi shows off her athleticism during a class, and it's clear that Gwami is attracted to her. At night, she shares a bed with Jui, but something catches her attention while everyone's asleep. She wakes up in fox form and learns that Naughty is missing. The girl responsible for him is also nowhere to be seen. Turns out those two went outside. Earlier, Kang was threatening to send Naughty to the zoo if the girl misbehaved. She then tries to run away with him, only to be chased down by the hunter's 3 dogs. It's a pretty tense sequence that leads to a train yard, and Yobi steps in to save the day. After Yobi fails to scare away the dogs, the 3 get pulled into a wall by a shadowy figure. Creepy.
다 너 때문인 거 알지?
the other aliens were responsible for scolding him, and they would admit as such. By the way, the little girl is named Jung-yi, who promises to keep Yobi's Kumiho's nature a secret. Both girls then get back to the school, and Yobi spends a lot of time around the children. The aliens see that she's been enjoying herself, especially when Gwami is around. Yobi also uses the time to learn more about him and the backstory behind his name.
금이야, 황금이.
황금이?
근데 진짜 이름은 황금빛 가을 들판에서 처음 만난 아이야.
황금이 들에서 처음?
황금빛 가을 들판에서 처음 만난 아이.
They certainly seem to be getting along well, though Jui is starting to feel jealous. After a while, to see if Yobi's mother could come over to see him. Given what he says, Yobi decides to ask the aliens for help to find new clothes for her disguises, and they manage to get some while avoiding the hunter dogs. Not gonna lie, these are some determined mutts. It's also here where we understand how Yobi can turn human. She must eat a human soul when it turns blue, and it only turns blue when...
누군가를 사랑하게 되면 파랗게 변한단다.
너 그 남자애 좋아하는 거지?
좋아하는 거지?
좋아하는 게 뭔데?
우리 별에선 서로 좋아하면 서로
좋아하면?
같은 방향을 보고
좋아하면?
서로 뺨을 때려. 이렇게.
I don't know. Considering how most of the kids look to be around 10 or younger, they're probably not capable of turning their souls blue as required. I mean, unless you want to count childhood crushes. And don't even get me started on Kang, he's nothing to her. But guess what? Kang wanted to see Yobi's mom because he fell in love with her at first sight.
여기 학생들 말입니다.
응?
난 이 학생들을 너무너무 사랑합니다. 다들 왕따라고 하지만.
왕따?
정욱이는 학교에서 늘 뚱뚱하다고 놀림받고, 뭐 종이란 아이는 몇 년 전부터 말을 안 하는 자폐하죠. 금이는 엄마가 돌아가신 후로 맨날 싸움질만 하죠.
네.
전 이래서는 안 되겠다 싶어서 그래서 애들을 이리로 데리고 온 겁니다.
And I don't know, he seems to genuinely care for the kids and even offers up to coach Yobi because of his past experiences in gymnastics. But he's just not a good teacher, good intentions or not. Either way, once Yobi gets back into her child form, Jui confronts her over Gwami. Our main character gets slapped for her troubles, but she remembers what the aliens taught her about how humans fall in love with another, so...
몰랐어. 그게 아니라 꼬리치지 말란 말이야. 미안해. 난 그런 줄.
One of the rare times where it makes sense to believe that, since Jui is like the Helga of this movie. Since she and the other kids aren't treated well by society, and are like 10 years old, they don't know how to express themselves. Anyway, while shopping, Kang runs into the fox hunter, who explains his backstory.
우리집안 팥대주께서 구미호에게 물려 돌아가신 후로 구미호를 찾아 없애는 일이 가업이 됐죠.
Sounds like someone never bothered to let go of a grudge, especially if it involves going after all spirits and not the one spirit who did this to you. The hunter even tells the kids about the Kumiho and how they feast on human souls, which justifies the need to exterminate them. He places a charm near the room where the kids sleep, which seems to affect Yobi, but then that shadowy figure returns and... Who are you, Mr. Shadow Man? And yeah, his name is actually called Mr. Shadow. Thought you should know. She follows Mr. Shadow in this rather cool sequence, leading to a strange area with a worn-down bridge. It drops her into a wedding reception, for some reason, before she leaves and eventually finds him again. While his name is Mr. Shadow, he also goes by Detective Shadow. His role is to reveal all the secrets in this world.
근데 왜 날 쫓아다녀?
완전 스토커가 아니야, 조사하는 거지.
Sure, whatever you say, Shadow. I do like how he's animated. He's mostly a silhouette, but when he talks you can see his body contort into an expression. This also means that he can appear a lot bigger when he needs to be. In any event, we learn that Yobi really wants to be human, no matter how much she denies it, but she obviously doesn't want to take a human soul to achieve that. So, Mr. Shadow gives her a device and a spell to help her. She later gets back to school and runs into Gwami, who noticed her leaving earlier. He tries to offer her the dream catcher.
너가 나쁜 꿈 때문에 잠을 못 자는 거가 친구니까 주는 거야.
Moving on, the kids are on a field trip. One of the kids has been collecting the charms set down by the hunter, and Yobi's feeling weird because of it. As the bus driver lectures on about something, he hits a bump that causes Naughty to lose the nails he was eating. Guess where they end up? Craziest way to build a relationship. Nobody is hurt after the crash, at least not that badly, though they'll have to stay in the hospital for a day. But the device given to Yobi starts to move on its own. What could it mean? Otherwise, Yobi is confused about what she should do next and leaves for the mountains. Guami, and later Zhang-Yi, follow her, and he runs into the aliens, and our title character in her fox form. Before Yobi can explain, the hunter dogs attack. They fall down a trap hole that leads to Yobi's little hideout. And well... that could have gone better. Kinda looks like the cover for The Secret of Kells. Guami ends up leaving, though he's mystified over what just happened. But back at school, the hunter questions him on the whereabouts of Yobi and Zhang-Yi, since it is feared that our main character has taken her. The hunter then tracks down Yobi to her whereabouts. He was about to use a talisman to see through her adult and kid forms, but then the bear decides to attack! Just kidding, he's just returning Zhang-Yi to the humans. Also, Naughty reunites with his family. Hooray! With things pretty much resolved, everyone goes back to where they belong. The aliens decide they need to go somewhere else, since they've been discovered. Yobi is obviously sad to see them go, since she'll be on her own now. But here is a chance to patch things up with Guami.
그게 아니라 정말 어쩔 수 없었다고.
난 언제나 혼자야. 그러니까 상관없어.
나도 그래. 나도 언제나 나 누구한테 친구하자고 한 거 처음이야. 널 또 만나게 될 거라고 생각했고. 그게 너무 좋았는데.
But during his confession, that small device shows up and waits for Guami's soul to turn blue. And then...
멈춰!
well, seems like Mr. Shadow might have some ulterior motives. Who could have seen this coming? Luckily, Guami helps Yobi escape the hunter. But when they reach a cliff, he falls off and enters the land of Kanava. Yobi jumps after him and sees how this realm has a lot of bird cages filled with soul birds. Mr. Shadow appears to taunt her, but she keeps looking for Guami's soul. The rabbit spirits don't like what they're seeing, so they give chase. She gets away eventually and tries releasing Guami, but that box takes the soul, and Mr. Shadow reveals what it actually is.
이 상자가 나의 심장인 줄은 미처 몰랐겠지.
무슨 짓이야?
오랫동안 이 순간을 기다려왔어. 나도 너처럼 영혼이 필요한 거야. 땅에 빠진 영혼이 가장 듣고 싶어하는 말이 뭔지 알아?
눈을
바로 살아난다는 뜻이지.
Well, what else can I say but damn! As she's absorbed into his body, he explains his need for a soul to escape his shadow form. But through a combination of the rabbit spirits, plus Yobi freeing Guami, his new form breaks down and then... rabbit spirits aren't going away though. They accuse Yobi of stealing a soul from Kanava, but Yobi explains that Guami only came here by accident. Of course, there must always be a set number of souls here, meaning that there has to be something to replace it. As the spirits send over a birdcage to try and take Guami back, Yobi begs her friend to...
돌아가서 가란 말이야.
안 돼. 세상이 너의 영혼을 빨아들일 거야.
Well, Yobi, Seems you finally become a real human. Gwami wakes up and is unable to find Yobi. Turns out her body is with the bear, so she's either dead or might have been reincarnated given a later scene, although it's not exactly clear how this works. Either way, Gwami would return to school and resume his life. Before long, the spirits release Yobi's soul bird. It carries the Dreamcatcher on its way out, and... this movie is honestly really charming. It might not be very groundbreaking, but that doesn't make it bad when it tells the story well. It's about how different people act around each other, and they're not always going to fit into a society that demands conformity. Yobi is trying to find what she wants from life and faces a choice when she finds a human she likes. You wish these kids well, but they're being taken care of by well-meaning adults who are just in over their heads. It would have helped if the movie explored the social issues affecting the characters more, but at least Yobi's arc was fleshed out. It also helps that the film can feel whimsical whenever she gets a chance to use magic. So putting it all together, this is a delightful movie with some positive representation for the Korean kumiho, but could still use a bit more. And that should take care of all the Patreon requests for this cycle. I need to get back home and head to battle. The next time I see you, I hope it's in person. Until then, I'm the Media Hunter, media's my prey, and reviewing them my way.